Okay guys, so today we're going to be doing a first insert of the podcast. Now, today I'm going to be here with...
Mr. Singh.
Okay, now Mr. Singh, what do you do?
I'm an accountant.
You're an accountant. Okay, so in accountancy, what are your strategies and all that? So, what do you do in accountancy?
Well, you could be doing loads of many things. You could be working for a manufacturing company and assessing how much money and how profitable that business is doing. You could go into a business that is struggling and trying to work out how you could be saving them money. Accountancy can be used in many different roles and in many different environments.
Okay, so what kind of accountancy do you do?
Well, I work in a company that effectively invests money onto the stock market, and therefore people come to us, give us money, and we help them make money from that.
Okay, so the way that your company or the firm that you work for works, do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. So you might have people who have got excess cash, not sure what to do with it. The interest rates in the UK are very low, which means if you put your money in the bank account into a savings account, you're not going to be making that much interest. It wasn't the case 10 to 15 years ago, where interest rates were a lot higher. So they've got this cash, they feel, actually, I don't want to earn 1%, I want to try to earn something more, but it's a risk. There's no guarantee by them giving us money that we're going to be able to make them a good return.
Okay, so now the main topic that we want to talk about is money and how you can handle your money. And me being a teenager, I can tell you now that it is quite difficult for me to handle my money. So do you have any advice, tips on how to save and look after money and keep it so that you can have it going for a long time?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely difficult in today's environment. We've become or more exposed to being more materialistic, and as a result you want nice things, but those nice things are a lot more expensive now. You look at the price of these Yeezys that are going on at the moment. Everybody's aspiring to wanting £400 to £500 pair of trainers, whereas when I was a youngster, a similar age to yourself, it was about buying a £50 pair of trainers. So the level of luxury now has definitely grown, and people are aspiring towards that. But what people can do, there's a couple of simple things you could do. One is basically budgeting. So you could budget on a weekly basis. So whether you get spending money or whether you have a job and earning money, you can effectively say to yourself, look, I'm going to spend £50 this week. And you do a back of the envelope. What I mean by that is a rough estimation as to how much you think you're going to spend. I'll buy a coffee every day, I'll buy lunch every day, I'm going to eat out takeaway once in the week. So I'm going to set myself a £50 budget. What that allows you to do is very, very clearly see where you are spending money and where you can cut back. The other suggestion I would say is withdraw that £50 from the bank account, because it's so easy to tap your credit card, tap your phone, and off you go, and you've bought something, and by the end of the week you don't realize it, but you spend a lot of money. By taking it out and going back to the old ways of physically handling cash is a great way to actually physically see how much money you're spending at any moment in time, and that will make you be more self-conscious that wait, I've only got £10 left and I've still got 2 days to go, and it'll start making you think, right, I want to try to stick to my budget. It's a bit like when you've got this whole phenomenon now going on about steps. I want to do 10,000 steps in a day, or I want to do 1,000 steps in a day, or whatever it may be. But it's that goal, it's that target, and it's that very visual target that you can track and see at any moment in time via an app on your phone. So those are kind of my key tips I would suggest.
Now, in this day and age, we have phones, smartphones, tablets, laptops, and everything. And on your smartphones, iPads, and all that, you can get applications which help you budget and save money. Do you think they're any good? Do you think they're fraud? What do you think about them?
I wouldn't say they are fraud. They're definitely there to try to tap into the younger crowd who are very app driven, and therefore it's quite natural to see the market flooded with budgeting apps. However, I would say you don't need it. You're not doing anything complicated here unless you're running a limited company and making excessive amounts of cash. I don't think you need to go beyond a Excel spreadsheet on your desktop computer or laptop, or even to start off with, spend 5 minutes after listening to this, pen to paper, back of a envelope, and write down what your budget's going to be from Monday through to Friday. It can literally be that simple. It doesn't need to be more complicated than that. If you feel that actually I want to get it more granular, I want to be more precise, look into an app, but not when you're first starting out budgeting with the aim of trying to save.
Okay, so we talked about budgeting apps and all that, and then you were talking about steps. Now, there is also an application called SWEATCOIN. Now, I'm not sponsored by SWEATCOIN. This is just an application that I use personally, and this app, it counts how many steps you've done, and it does some algorithm type format calculation to convert it into some sort of money, or sweat coin is the term that's used, and you can essentially buy stuff from those sweat coins. Now, what do you think about that? Do you think that's motivating them to do more in terms of saving money and be more active, or what do you think about it?
I don't really have an opinion on it, to be completely honest with you. And obviously there's been this whole craze with cryptocurrency at the moment, with Bitcoin, etc. Everyone's going wild, trying to jump on the bandwagon and try to run with the tide as the price of, e.g. Bitcoin going up astronomically in 2017, which has now since seen a significant reduction, but still quite pricey, to be fair. It's approximately around the $10,000 mark for one Bitcoin. My personal opinion is, specifically talking about your sweat coin, if it's going on in the background without you realizing it, and you're a marathon runner, go for it. It's not doing anything further sweat off your back by having an app and letting it track how much you're walking. Anything beyond that, which requires you to administer or takes anything out of your time, I would not bother. I think you're better off spending time earning and spending time working out ways how you could be earning money rather than earning it for somebody else.
So you were talking about bitcoins and cryptocurrency. Now, speaking of bitcoins, do you think the bubble is going to burst?
Yes, I do. I think two things will happen as a result of Bitcoin. First one is Bitcoin will probably still be around, because there will be a lot of people who have got coins, don't want to crystallize their losses, which means sell the Bitcoin and incur a huge loss. So they'll hold on to it in anticipation, in hope that one day it goes back up to the $18,000 that it first purchased it, and maybe if it goes to $19,000, they're all of a sudden back in profit and they're going to sell it. So I think that it will still be around. I think the bubble has partially burst when it went from peaking just over $20,000 to now just over $10,000. But what I do think will happen is that Bitcoin will create a byproduct. It will basically it will generate an alternative to physical hard cash money, and that may be one day replace money, but it will get people thinking and realize that actually there is a concept here, which is, why don't we exchange with not just money but with something else? Obviously back in the days it was gold, very, very secure product. If you look on your banknote, it will say the note is backed by gold, which you could go into the Bank of England and exchange for. But it will get people thinking, and maybe as a result of this Bitcoin phenomenon, an alternative currency trading platform to money may arise.
Okay, so Bitcoin, you believe the bubble has already slightly burst. Now, when I last checked the amount the amount that you get from one Bitcoin, it was something like £7,000, and when I checked it when it started, it was something like about 15,000 in between there. Now, these big Bitcoin experts have been saying that keep investing in Bitcoin if you want to. Obviously, it's not a must, but if you want to, because they believe that Bitcoins will rise again. Do you believe that's true?
I think there is the scope for it to rise again if the momentum picks up again, and if some celebrities, for example, start publicizing the fact that they've bought loads of Bitcoin. It may result in the hype of Bitcoin resulting in prices going up again, but only again for a short-term phenomenon. This isn't something which you're going to see go up in price and stay. You need to think about it. What does Bitcoin do? Bitcoin is basically a coin or a platform or a electronic currency for you to exchange to buy goods and services. Now, by the price of that currency going up is not doing anything different, right? So you're not, but by the price going up and it becoming more and more expensive, is doing exactly the same thing. So it's very difficult to argue or to rationalize why is the price of something going up. Now, when you see the price of, for example, I'm just going to quote some random companies here: Apple, Amazon, Facebook, they all go up. They go up because there's an underlying reason why they go up. They go up because their customer base has increased. They go up because their increase in revenue. Go up because they become more profitable. They go up because they've tapped into X number of new countries. But with Bitcoin, when the price goes up, it's because there's hype. This just means that there's more people on the market buying or selling it. The underlying basis of Bitcoin, the underlying reason as to why the price is going up, is non-existent. So it is very, very worrying for true investors to understand, and as a result become safe to put large amounts of money in it.
Now, there's also one other story about Bitcoin that I've heard, and it was quite amazing. I heard in 2010, if you had invested, I believe it was £100 in Bitcoins, you could have got something like 170 million back when it was peaking at its highest level. Now, hearing that statistic is quite astonishing, and I mean, the people who did invest in it, I mean, they probably could have got a lot of money out of it. However, the people who invested in it now and it's dropping, what do you think they can do with that Bitcoin? Do you think they should keep it, or do you think they should cash it out for money?
Again, difficult question. It all comes down to how much money you've got invested. So let's use two examples. Let's say you've got £300 invested in Bitcoin. That's the money that you invested, and it's halved in price because you bought it at the peak at 20,000. It's now 10,000. So you know you've halved your money. I wouldn't say that is a substantial amount of money from the for a teenager. Yes, but we're not talking about big money, which is going to be my second example. I would say hold it. Hold it in hope that what I've just mentioned, that there is an increase in momentum and the price goes up for a short period, and you either reduce your losses, you either break even, i.e. you don't make a profit or a gain, but you sell it at the price that you bought it at, or you make a slight profit and you sell it. Then I would say to you, hold it. Because at the end of the day, there's no skin off your back by just holding it now. This money has gone out of your pocket, almost write it off, but track it and hope that the price goes up. But whilst you're waiting and tracking it, you should have at the back of your mind, what price would you be happy to sell it at? Because when the price is going up and up and up, it's going up for a short period of time. And you've got to think to yourself, I don't want to be selfish. I want to minimize my losses, or I want to break even. What price would I be happy with? Right? Let's say, for example, you bought it at 20,000 and let's say it's at 10 now. Right, I'll be happy if it goes up to 15 or 16 or 17 or 20. But decide, stick to it, sell it, because the price will come back down again. If you've invested large amounts of money, I don't know, 10,000, 5,000, 3,000, I would say sell. Because I think you could sell and put it into another company, into a better, more secure investment, and actually start earning money off it, whereas there's a risk, too big of a risk, because the numbers are too big, that you may lose all of it. If for example, Bitcoin goes bankrupt, what if the backers run out of money to run all those servers? Yeah? it, what are you going to do then? You've just lost all your currency. Legally, it gets written off the stock market, which you can't no longer buy or sell it. The 10,000 that you invested, which is worth now 5, is now worth nil. I'd rather take the 5 now, because there is no guarantee that Bitcoin will be around in the next year, or it will ever go up in price, or it will go down further.
Now, this Bitcoin era that we're living in, it all rised because of how much Bitcoin was coming up to. Like, it was hitting up the 20,000 mark, and you hear these stories about people becoming millionaires and all that around when Bitcoin became big and they cashed out. Now, if you had invested in Bitcoin back in 2010 and you completely forgot that you had Bitcoin, how unfortunate would that be? Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. Crazy. Whoever did it, bought it. You hear these stories how some artists back in the days accepted 50 Cent, for example, was recently in a news article, and he accepted some money for recording a song in Bitcoins, and realized that actually he's now worth loads more because he's got 10,000. He had invested the equivalent, I think it was 100,000 worth of Bitcoins, so he's now made millions from it. Great stories, fantastic, but they're far and few between. What you will find is that there is even more scarier and even harsher stories where people have put 50, 60, 70, 80% of their life savings into Bitcoin in hope that they'll make a significant amount of money, and they've lost it all.
Now, another topic about Bitcoin is when you want to, in America and I believe in some places in London, you can buy things for Bitcoins in shops. Now, I was watching this TV program, I can't remember what channel it was on, but these old people, they were given cash and they exchanged it in for Bitcoin at one of these like Bitcoin cash machines. And basically the amount that you have to pay to buy, I believe they bought a muffin, was really expensive in terms of Bitcoin, because you had like a Bitcoin fee, then you had all this other stuff added on top, and it became really expensive. Now, do you think that's going to change in the future, or do you think it's just going to stay like that? The prices of things to buy in Bitcoin will be the same as like really expensive?
It all comes down to what Bitcoin ends up doing. If it's still around, it may linger there in the background. Something might come just bigger and better and replace it, or you might even have the case where it kicks off again. I think that's a difficult question, and we just have to wait and see.
Okay, well, that's pretty much been it of this podcast. Thank you very much, Mr. Singh.
You're very welcome.
And guys, this has been the first insert of the podcast. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, hit the like button, drop a comment down below telling me what you think about all the topics that we talked about. Tell me what I can do to improve, and I will see you guys later.